Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. What I want to talk about in this video is something I kind of actually struggled as to whether or not I wanted to talk about it, because it's a very controversial issue, but it's one that I predicted would happen if people don't pay attention. And that's in reference to a rise of anti-Semitism in the workplace. Now, I did several videos several months ago in reference to some things that Kanye West or Ye, whichever one you prefer to call him, stated about the Jewish race. Things that he said that I did not agree with. Okay, some people had a problem with it, some people didn't. I don't care at this point. In this video, I'm going to read an article that's really from the left. This article is mostly kind of leftist in its views, but it seems to be an accurate article. I'm going to read this article because this article supports what I predicted would happen because of people like Kanye West saying the things that he said. I predicted this would happen, and here we are. We're right here. So let's get right into this article, and I'm going to give you my full commentary after I've completed reading this. But let's get right into this. And the article is entitled, Growing Anti-Semitism in the U.S. is Seeping into the Workplace. Yes, it is. It says, look at it. It says, at a recent working lunch, Renee Feldman was told that someone wouldn't network with her because she's Jewish. Feldman, who's a corporate turnaround consultant based in Portland, Oregon, was stunned, not by the mere existence of anti-Semitism, she said, but that her brush with it was so overt. In other words, right out in the open, right in your face. Okay, let's go on. I doubt there's more anti-Semitism now than 10 or 20 years ago, said Feldman, who previously had more subtle or difficult to interpret experiences of discrimination, such as snubs, whatever that is. People are just expressing it. It's become okay to say it. You see what she's saying now? It's become, people are just coming out and saying it now. I wonder why. Just saying, let me read on. Across American culture, politics, and even business, expressions of anti-Semitism has grown louder in recent years. It's not just high-profile statements made by the rapper Ye and basketball star Kyrie Irving, or politicians increasingly cozying up to white supremacist groups, whatever the heck that's supposed to be. I guess white supremacist. That's why I say this is a leftist article, but I had to read this. White supremacist groups, what are you talking about? Conservative groups? No, you're wrong. Conservative groups are not white supremacist groups. White supremacist groups, I just had to say that. Let's move on. Incidents of anti-Semitic harassment, vandalism, and assault reached a 42-year high in 2021. That's crazy. 42-year high. The most recent year with available data, according to the Anti-Defamation League. And there's evidence that discrimination is seeping into the workplace too. A 2022 study published in the academic journal Sources, surveying, that's S-O-C-I-O-U-S, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, surveying 11,356 workers of all faiths, found that more than half of the Jewish respondents experienced discrimination at work. That's interesting. More than half in 2022 now experienced discrimination at work, a higher percentage than any other religious group besides Muslims. A smaller survey from November of 1,131,000 hiring managers and recruiters commissioned by ResumeBuilder.com had even starker findings. Get this now. Nearly a quarter said they wanted fewer Jewish people in their industry, and a similar share admitted they're less likely to advance Jewish applicants. Clear discrimination, right? Among the top reasons cited for these discriminatory behaviors, perceptions that Jewish people have too much power and wealth. Oh, I had to laugh at that because it's the same narrative that these people spin all the time. They got too much power and wealth, so let's discriminate against them. Never mind that if I hire this Jewish person, this person may have the qualifications and skills to help my business. They just got too much power and wealth, so I'm not going to hire. This stuff infuriates me. Let's go on, man. It would seem to confirm our concerns that the growing anti-Semitism in our society is also spilling over into the workplace, said Vlad K. King, National Director for Programs on Anti-Semitism at the Anti-Defamation League. It suggests that contemporary workplaces can often be hostile to Jewish employees. Bloomberg News spoke with a dozen Jewish workers in industries as varied as public relations and supply chain logistics. Now, like I said, I'm going to read this entire article because I want you guys to get the full essence and nature of this. Living in cities across the country, many express a sense of increasing discrimination in their daily work lives, including overhearing anti-Semitic comments from co-workers or noticing the ranks of Jewish workers thin at their organizations. Most didn't want to use their names, fearing it might damage their career or draw further harassment. One communications executive from the Midwest said that she's experienced, quote, astonishing anti-Semitism in the workplace, and that her Jewish friends and family advised her to not tell anyone her religion or to work with Jewish-owned organizations. Another diversity and inclusive coach said that a non-Jewish employee reportedly put a face mask on his face like and I don't want to pronounce this wrong, Yarmulke, you know what I'm talking about. It's spelled Yarmulke. I've heard it pronounced, but I don't want to mispronounce it here. And sang a what is it? The Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm not good with these words. Please forgive me for that. But in a separate incident, and clearly this person was mocking the Jews, right in their face. In a separate incident, that same employee used the phrase Holocaust moment to describe his group's poor performance. Really? He later told investigators he thought his behavior was permissible because he didn't think any Jewish people were present. So that's your excuse? Or I'm going to say these kind of anti-Jewish things because I don't think any Jewish people is present. So I'm going to say these kind of things. So is that what justifies you to say it? You see what's going on here? Let's go on. It's something on my mind. I'm scared about it, said Andy Heller, a San Francisco real estate investor and entrepreneur. His fears were in part realized by the ResumeBuilder.com survey's findings that some perceive Jewish people as money-grubbing, cheap or hungry or power-hungry. And where does that idea come from? From the leftist liberals, really, for the most part. From the leftist, divisive Marxist liberals that give this idea that Jewish people are money-grubbing, cheap, or power-hungry. The problem with that worldview, this is my opinion, because I got to give some of it. The problem with that worldview is that history and reality shows that from all ethnic groups, black, white, Hispanic, Jew, whichever, all ethnic groups possess people in those particular ethnic groups that are money grubbing, cheap, or power hungry. That's throughout history. Why? Because within the human heart dwells darkness. We have good and we have bad in all of us. That's every human being. There is no particular ethnic group on this earth that's superior in morality. Every ethnic group have done unspeakable evils and committed unspeakable crimes. Every ethnic group. So no one can claim anything. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I have to put that in there. All of us fall short of what we're supposed to be. So you can't just put it on Jewish people. This is a lie from the pits of hell. And it's just designed to cause more havoc and division. But let's go on. Too much control, power, and wealth. These are long-standing anti-Semitic tropes that have been used to justify violence against Jews, said Rachel Schneider, a religious studies researcher at Rice University and one of the authors of the Soros study. Anti-Semitism is alive and well. We need to attend more to its presence in the workplace. Heller said that he feels a responsibility to counteract caricatures of Jewish people by providing substantial bonuses, paying vendor bills promptly and in full, and tipping generously. Some people may only interact with one or two Jews in their entire lifetime, he said. We need to do our part to ensure that those touch points don't advance stereotypes. Anti-Semitism is alive and well. While Jewish Americans, now watch this now, listen to this. While Jewish Americans overall have relatively high incomes compared to other groups, have live in households making at least $100,000 compared to 19% of U.S. adults. They span the economic spectrum. A Pew Research Center survey released in 2021 found that a quarter of Jewish respondents had difficulty paying for medical care, their rent or mortgage, food or other bills. Roughly half of Jewish Americans said they live, quote, comfortably, the survey found, but 15% said they only have just enough to meet basic expenses, which basically means that there are Jewish people that are struggling too. That you ain't the only one struggling. So this whole idea of they just power hungry, money grubbing people is a lie. It's a lie. The survey states it and factual data states it. Unless you have something other than that to show to contradict that, then give it, baby, because it's not there. Everybody, every racial group, every ethnic group. I like to use the term ethnic group because there's only one race, the human race. So I'm going to start trying to practice using the term ethnic groups. Every ethnic group has people that have a lot of money and people that don't have a lot of money. That's all over. Let's go on. Religious discrimination complaints from former workers to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission are up from 2 decades ago. The numbers, however, only go through 2021, and the agency doesn't break out Jewish-related incidents specifically. According to Jocelyn Samuels, vice president of the EEOC, the commission had filed a consistent series of allegations involving anti-Jewish discrimination over the years, and she expects there was an uptick in the last 2 years. When you have, watch this now, and I'm going to stop the article right here. When you have high-profile people like Ye or Nick Fontes or Kyrie Irving making explicitly anti-Semitic remarks, that emboldens people to say aloud things that reflect centuries of bias and stereotypes, she said. I said that from the beginning. This is what I predicted would happen. And even though earlier on in that article, the writers, the individuals stated that this type of stuff has been going on for quite some time in a more covert way, now it's becoming more overt. It's becoming more out in the open. And I said this about Kanye West. I said, though I agree with some of the things he has said, a vast majority of the things he say I don't agree with. That's how the enemy gets you. How the enemy gets you, and when I say the enemy, I mean the spiritual force, okay? Not some particular race, not some particular ethnic group, rather. How he gets you is he mixes lies with the truth. He'll put so much truth in there, and then, and in the purpose of putting all that truth in there is to get your attention, to get you to be nodding your head. Yes, yeah, you're right. That's true. That's so true. Because you know it's historically true. You know it may be accurate in other eras. You agree with it. You say, yeah, that's true. Now that he's gotten you with the truth, now he can slip incrementally, through incrementation, a little bit at a time, subtly he can slip the lies in there. But by the time he slips the lies in there, you two embolden with the truth and so connected to the truth that you don't see the lie that was just slipped in there. Now you following the person, bopping your head along, following the person no matter what. That's what ended up happening with Jim Jones. Some of you may or may not have heard of Jim Jones, but he was a cult leader from the 1970s that convinced over 900 people to commit suicide by drinking Kool-Aid laced with cyanide. This is back in the late 1970s. His name was Jim Jones. You can watch documentaries on him right now. When he started off, he mixed truth. He put some truth in his philosophies. The man seemed to be someone who had a vision, and he did have a vision. He was a very powerful man, very well spoken, but he was on the wrong side of the biblical understanding. And he deceived hundreds of people to follow him to the grave by mixing lies with the truth. What am I saying? The same thing going on today. Kanye West, Kanye over. You got all these people saying some things that are true, but mixing it with lies. And this is causing more people to come out in the open and speak out against Jews in general. I warned against it then. I'm going to warn against it now. People need to pay attention and watch and listen to the content of what these people are saying. Because oftentimes when I see people make comments in the comment section of my videos, I ask myself, did they watch the whole video? Because clearly that's not what I said. Problem is you took out of context something I said and you came up with your own interpretation. That's not what I said. Same principle. We got to look at the content. What exactly are they saying? Is this true? Is this not true? Is this factual? Is this not factual? How you get people, you mix lies with the truth. This is what I see is going on. And what it's doing is getting more and more blind, dumbed down people to be anti-Semitic, to be anti-Jewish and coming against them and hooping and hollering and getting upset. Well, they're making too much money, so that's why I'm going to discriminate against them. When no one pays attention to the fact that one of the main reasons, if not the only reason, that Jewish people seem to make so much money and make more money than most ethnic groups, even though that article states that many of them are struggling now, is because of their culture. Why I say culture? Read the works of Thomas Sowell right behind me. I got over 20 of his books, and he talked about this. He's an economist and a historian and a social theorist. The man's intelligent, considered to be one of the most brightest, intelligent, articulate black individuals in American history. That's a direct quote. Having said that, look up his research on what he said about the Jewish people. And his research determined that the reason for this is because of their culture. The Jews in general embrace education, embrace industrialization, embrace technology, embrace studying. They embrace all of those type of things. Those are the things that they value. How many, let's be realistic, how many Jewish people that you see that are on the basketball field? You may see some, but how many Jewish people you see on the basketball field? If anything, they own the basketball company because they're thinking on another level. They're thinking about ownership, so they dig in and study those things that are conducive to owning teams rather than just playing on the team. But how many Jewish basketball players do you know? I don't watch basketball, but I would guess some. There are some, but how many do you see? Not many, right? I'm just going to be realistic with you. How many Jewish people do you see? I'm just going to be realistic, doing twerk videos. Huh? How many Jewish people do you see when they get out of school standing in front of the camera in their phones doing this? Instead of taking their tails home, cracking open that book and studying so that they can be able to compete with other ethnic groups on a national and international level. Instead of taking personal responsibility and saying, why am I failing in the SAT test? Why is these groups coming over here and excelling in the SAT test and economics and all the rest, and I'm failing? And y'all know what I'm talking about. And I have to bring this out. I got to bring it out. I hate to make it this way, but this is what I see, and this is what I experience, and this is what I hear, so I have to deal with it. When I see a problem, I got to address the problem. And what I'm seeing and hearing and reading all the time from my perspective is that this is usually from people that look like me, complaining about Jews. These Jews making all this money. Last I checked, Kanye West was black. Last I checked, Kyrie Irving was black. Not saying all of them are black that's crying out about this stuff, but the ones I'm seeing are black. Main ones crying about the Jewish people. Have you ever thought about the fact, and they're the main ones cry about white people making more money than they are, pass on the SATs, and the first thing these group of black people would do, they'll say, well, the reason why we fell on the SAT test is because the SAT test is geared against black people. Are you sure of that? Are you really sure? Because when you do your research, you find out that people from other countries, Asians, Indians, and also black people from other countries Somalians and Nigerians come over here to our colleges, to our universities, to our schools, and pass with flying colors. Do you not know that some years ago, there was a study that was conducted that stated that Nigerians in America make more money than black people in America a year? Could you blame that on some external force? Could you say that the white man prepping the Nigerians over the black people in America? No, I'll tell you what the issue is. The issue is what you value. If you don't value education, if you don't value going home and cracking open that book and spending time and studying like black people used to do in the early 1900s, you're not going to prevail. You're not going to be successful. You're not going to be able to pass the SAT. You're not going to be competitive. It's a cultural thing. That's why they're on top. That's why the Jewish people are on top. Also, you can add to it the fact that they're God's chosen people. I know people going to argue about that. I'm not going to argue about that. I'm not going to go over that. That's what I believe. That's what the Bible teaches. Let's go on. So they already got the blessing over them. They already got the blessing over them. But it's a matter of putting forth effort. It's a matter of what we value. Let me say this and summing this up, man, because this video is going longer, but it's so much here that I want to talk about. I'm going to use myself as an example. I used to always want to be a writer until I finally decided to actually start writing. There are people right now that look up to me as a writer, but I'm nowhere near these published writers and published artists, whatever. What's my point? My point is that I can't be as good as I want to be if I'm not willing to put in the time and dedication that it takes to put in the time and dedication that it takes to be the best writer that I can be. It's not I just start typing up some stuff. I got to know what it means. Characterization, point of view, tense, dialogue, all these different things need to be mastered before I decide to actually put my work out there to be picked up by a publisher and make some money. But I got to put in the time. It's what I value is the bottom line. What do I value? Do I value writing enough to put in the time that I need to put in to make myself to be a successful writer? The same principle. It's about your culture. It's about what you value. And unfortunately, a certain segment of our people value the wrong things, so we stay the same way all the time. I'm going to keep exposing this and keep talking about it until people wake up. That's what the situation is. And let me sum this video up in here. I said this and I warned it, and it's happening. It's happening right before our eyes. It's happening right before our eyes. But I just had to make that comment. I just had to address that. Like I said, I didn't want to at first, but I said, you know what? I got to deal with this. I got to deal with this. But number one, it's too juicy. But number two, it's fulfilling what I predicted. And if people don't wake up, it's going to get worse and worse in America. It's going to get worse and worse. But that's my take on it. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.